What seemed to me to be like some silly steam shovelware, given the nature of the character in the advertisements being obvious horny bait, turned into a rather strange feeling experience. The game is called Disillusion, and at first glance once playing it, I immediately thought it was just a Hilux rip-off. It's ugly, it is painful to play and rather unsettling in a shitty way. The game opens up with you in a town giving you a goal of climbing a tower. Once you reach this tower, it turns into an abhorrent SMT-style dungeon crawler. It begins to throw obvious nods to Buddhism whatever, and early dialogue is rather random and silly in an earthbound kind of way, but still boring. Quickly you are introduced to the green girl Melon Pick related, who has more obvious ties to the Greek muse of tragedy, and all that yada yada. Basically assumed that was all the plot I would get, as it seemed very quickly how obvious things were going to unfold. Mel seemed to exist at first glance strictly to string along this facade with very predictable twists. Things begin to get very odd with the music, while the game opens with very standard MIDI tracks you would expect for this kind of title. It quickly devolves into strange chants, prayers, long samples of old children's cartoons, I think, as well as what I think is a full-on abduction story within the music later. The music was very unsettling for such a goofy game, and it is what drove me to slog through the outdated gameplay to see what the hell this was all about. The game really amps up in the odd factor if you look for it off the beaten path. I had encountered a dancing skeleton group who had complained modern medicine was to keep mankind in shackles, and Jews were keeping them enslaved, another that complained about German car engineering. One of the strangest characters I encountered in this game was a large white figure holding a burnt corpse, explaining to me accidental death was impossible due to timeline shifting and such. This is only the surface of the odd characters. What I thought was a basic narrative was much stranger. The goal of the game is presumably to reach nirvana or enlightenment, as that was made obvious very quickly, but come the end of game, spoilers I guess, it turns out you can never reach this nirvana, and you have the option of killing the big baddie or joining the big baddie. Should you kill him you get nothing, and if you join him, it is implied he shifts the afterlife into a more Christian ideal heaven, and sends you to earth, as what I assume is Jesus Christ. This is only scratching the surface. I cracked open the game's files and decrypted them, and there is an entire book on the lore of what the hell is going on, and more that I could not make sense of. While never figuring out how to do it, there are alternate endings. Turns out the main character is schizophrenic. I think, and schizos cannot reach nirvana or something. It is never said this what he has, but the last dialogue in the game seems to imply this, and as does the green waifu, who also seems to imply giving you the schizo illness. I know this is a bit of a ramble post, but I feel weird after playing this. Words do not describe it. View more things. A sphinx that gives you a magic shekel, it says shekel, to talk to crows that appear everywhere, bizarre crashes that say violence, game files, have artwork of children with horns covered in blood, but this is nowhere to be found in game from what I can tell. Music sometimes just turns into unsettling noise or ringing weird camera footage of ambulances, trees, trains. Bizarre Arabic phrases, the list goes on. Overall pretty shit game, just so weird I wish I did not play it. Anyway, post your Computer X experiences if you want.
We advance in medical science only for the immortal masters. We slaves will die of famine and illness. Tools will evolve, but as will our chains. They may attempt to kill a god and reach for a throne. It is us who are the threat, our wars, our bombs and our tribalism. We destroy more than we build. And what we build most is means to destroy more.